You are about to get a bird's eye view of the difference between a one-blade shave on your left and a two-bladed Track 2 shave on your right. As both razors shave, the first blade lifts the whisker out from the face. But the Track 2 razor has a second blade that can shave the whisker again, closer, before it all snaps back. Even with two strokes, no one-blade razor can make that statement. And the Track 2 is safer because the blades are recessed. The Gillette Track 2 razor, the first razor with two blades.
Injector blade. Change the way you shave forever.
Shaving's no fun.
If you were born after 1970, your first razor was probably a multi-blade razor. And that's led to this regression in shaving technique. Most people expect irritation, razor bumps, ingrown hairs, razor burn. It's sort of bizarre that 50 years into this innovation, people just expect these kind of results.
I was so afraid of shaving. Like, honestly, like really afraid of shaving, because whenever I put a razor to my face, I would get the worst razor bumps, like open sore razor bumps from any razor I used. I didn't use a shaver for, it's gotta be over 10, 15 years because of that feeling.
2/3 of men still expect irritation when they shave. I would almost go so far as to say that's like a failure of the category.
I'll shave, and maybe 5 minutes later, I get this burn, and then you can see my face start bumping up.
And you've just been doing the same thing you've always been doing. I think a lot of people don't have a reference point of anything different. So when you say that 2/3 of men are getting irritation, they may just be assuming, I guess, it's as good as it's gonna get. They don't ever think about challenging their assumptions. They never think about trying something new.
I had no clue what Henson was. I was hesitant because of my experience with other razors.
A lot of other personal care categories, moisturizer to face wash to body wash, all of those things have had their turn coming under a lot of scrutiny. And those categories have seen legitimate innovation over the last several years. Shaving's just this weird, like, black sheep in the personal care industry where it just sort of exists in its own lane.
The world's sharpest, easiest shaving.
In 1904, Gillette patented the first safety razor, and that revolutionized shaving for decades, and it made it much more accessible to men everywhere. Fast forward to the late 1960s, and the multi-blade system was introduced, which was not necessarily better for your skin. There's a very well-known business model called the razor and razor blade business model. Basically, you sell the consumable part at a really high profit margin. A cynic might suggest that that business model has discouraged innovation.
Disposable.
All of a sudden, they took this giant double-edged blade that has two very small cutting edges, and they said, what if we took those edges and put them together, and now all of our competitors are gone? It's like at the end scene of The Godfather, and they wiped them all off the map at the same time. They were all done. They were in business to sell the blades. So pretty soon, other manufacturers just started making blades.
If this was brand new, shaving was a brand new thing, woo, there'd be so much research. But it's as old as man, right? Like it's just not a thing.
It was tested by over 1,200 men.
For thousands of years, people were shaving with a single blade, and then in the late 60s, early 70s, a twin blade, a double blade razor was introduced. And it was actually like a neat idea. Why don't we have that first blade sort of bend the hair, and then before the hair gets to snap back in place, the second blade just cuts. And it worked, sort of. It achieved that objective of a close shave, but it introduced all of these sort of unintended consequences. Fast forward to the third and the fourth and the fifth blade, you're introducing this idea of multiple points of friction across your skin. That's necessarily going to increase the likelihood of irritation. So we're 50 years in. It's super expensive, it's terrible for the environment, the results are poor, and yet these business models are so profitable that there's no incentive to really innovate. When it comes to our skin, the decades of promoting ineffective products have not only damaged our physical appearance, but our collective understanding around shaving.
I remember when I showed my own father a double-edged razor, he's like, you use one of those? How do you use this? I'm like, Dad, didn't you use this? No. And I think it's such a tragedy because I always compare it to women out there. You know, think about how much time a woman takes to prepare. She's doing makeup, she's doing lipstick, and we're just supposed to what? Go in there and just kind of do something and walk out like we're like a sophisticated ape or something? If I was to tell someone just a very easy, quick thing to change up their routine, it'd be to get a quality single blade razor.
A single blade razor will allow you to put less friction on your face, will allow you to control the blade more, and will allow you to have a more functional shave. The intention behind a lot of the research that we're about to do actually stemmed from this idea that, hey, we keep hearing that our razor delivers less irritation. Tens of thousands of customers have told us this. We know sort of the mechanics behind shaving would make sense for that to be true, but how do you quantify that? One of the things we noticed was that in the sort of medical literature, there is no information about this topic in the category.
It's shocking to me how little information there is in the medical literature. Everybody's doing a different thing. Nobody's learning from each other. It's total trial and error, I think. It's just like workplace safety, you know? We have to do this work. Let's just make sure we do it safely. Let's do it so that nobody gets hurt.
People who would suffer from razor burn or irritation or ingrown hairs, typically the answer was stop shaving, because there isn't really any information on how to get a healthy shave. We just don't feel like that's sufficient, right? Like that's not acceptable. As we embarked on attempting to do this, we ended up finding a partner, a medical device imaging company that has basically built this high-tech camera that allows them to take these pictures of the surface of the skin.
We have data scientists, engineers, software engineers, cybersecurity experts, technical experts, data segmentation experts, optical imaging experts, clinical research experts. We've put a massive team together.
And what they can measure is they can measure tissue oximetry, oxygen saturation, think of a capillary response to trauma. Think about putting a blade to your skin and shaving. If the blade is gliding across the surface, you're going to have very little trauma to the skin. If it's tugging, pulling, digging, cutting, or if there's just a lot of friction, then the typical person's skin's going to have a reaction to that. And their camera allows us to measure that. It's called facial erythema. Basically, it's razor burn. And so we thought, okay, now that we have this way of measuring it, let's just see how the Henson fares.
It's really going to add in multiple layers to the entire knowledge base in skincare and skin physiology. So we're going to have impactful data that's going to inform multiple areas of the healthcare system, outpatient clinics, et cetera, where it could really make an impact.
All of these experts bringing in their expertise really allows us to have a non-biased, objective opinion of the data and what conclusions we can draw, and honestly just lift the veil on this category that just really has very, very little information available. Our approach will be to share all of the results transparently. We'll publish them in dermatological magazines if they'll have the information. Again, 2/3 of men expect irritation when they shave. Let's cut that down. Let's get that down to a third, a quarter, a fifth.
I would say that meeting Henson definitely started to get my brain thinking about what is the shaving experience, because I think it is something that you just take for granted as something you do every day. This is the way it's always been, so why would we change anything?
I don't let anyone else shave me. I shave me. I know me. And I think that people don't take that time to really learn. Guys don't usually talk about, how do I look in the mirror? Do I look okay? I didn't have any clue about beard preparation, about moisturizing, about single edge versus double edge versus cartridge razors. And so you get into a hobby like this, it's not hard to master, but it's fun because you see instant results.
Some of the younger men coming up are definitely more on this. There's a cultural thing going on. No one's talked to them about it before. They do want to know how to take care of their skin, but didn't know who to ask, isn't getting any good information from anything. Teenagers with cystic acne have much higher rates of depression and suicide because that's how profoundly it can affect you. Doing anything we can to address those things is very important. Considering that this is worldwide, half the population, if you can bring some order to that disorder, brilliant. That is not to be underestimated in terms of the impact it can have.
What really excites me is the capacity to improve access to a shaving experience. I think perception is that women are more concerned about this, but I think men deserve the opportunity as well to have quality skin or skin that they feel confident in.
There tends to be this concept that guys, they're rugged, that this, whatever. No, they struggle with it as much as women struggle with it. Cystic acne, pustular rosacea, shaving's a nightmare for them. They're all impacted in terms of their self-esteem. We can treat that and manage that and get that under control. We change lives. Like literally people come in and tell us their life is different.
The fear behind it was the reaction to shaving my head. It wasn't a great experience, and the irritation wouldn't subside for about a week and a half. My hygiene is very important. The way I present myself, and really I'm not really worried about what people say, but how I feel.
There's a lot of unknowns here, and that's the exciting part. It's not just adding to the evidence in shaving, it's adding to the knowledge of skin physiology. It has the opportunity to make an impact on a really big scale.
The best part of the research is looking for a solution to a problem that's so common people don't even see it. Not shaving is not a solution. Treating the underlying issue is the solution.
Once we conduct our research, there'll probably be some things in there that we learn that will be surprising, but so far it's just the lack of effort that's been surprising.
Change the way you shave forever.
This isn't winner take all for us. This is just results oriented. And if other entrants in the category or the existing incumbents want to take that same approach, great. I think people win in that scenario. So for decades, we've been told that more blades is better. But you know what? That's never been proven. Over the next few episodes, we're gonna dive deep into the research and science of shaving's impact on the skin. We're gonna talk to experts. We're gonna explore the human impact that shaving has. And we're gonna see if we can arrive to what we're gonna call a healthy shave routine. Now, we don't have all the answers yet, but we're gonna go find them. Stay tuned.